everyone, Luke here. Before I get into the review, I just want to make a few quick messages. First off is a shout out to Mr. Wash. Now, for those of you who don't know, he's a YouTuber, and what he's been doing is been giving me advice on how to improve my videos, and he's also been trying to get a post on on the Reddit page about my videos, so I'm really grateful to him, and I'm really thankful for him. So if you guys could go and subscribe to him, that would be great, and like I said, I'm really thankful for him, and I really appreciate all the help that he's been giving me, because he has been giving me a lot of advice on how to improve my videos so that he can enjoy them and I can get better at making them, and I feel like it is improving as I go along. And also, I did go to my premiere of my film. It was a documentary. It's about dyslexia, because I'm dyslexic, which is why most of the times you see me like stuttering for words or ways to actually properly structure my sentences. And also there, it was really exciting because I not only got to see the film for the first time, see the documentary for the first time, which it's been in the making for 4 years. I know it's been a really long time, but it's an independent project. And also I got to meet David Bradley. Now, if those of you who don't know who David Bradley is, he's the actor who played Argus Filch in the Harry Potter films. He played Mr. Filch, and also he played William Hartnell in An Adventure in Space and Time, which was a documentary on the making of Doctor Who, how it first came to be. And he also played the first Doctor in the Christmas Doctor Who special that's just gone with Pierre Capaldi. So it was really nice to actually finally meet someone who's actually played Doctor Who. That's been one of my greatest ambitions, and I'm really glad that I went and saw it, because it was really amazing. It was really funny, really well put together documentary, and meeting him really gave me an insight onto what it means to actually be someone and actually get out there and get yourself noticed, and how long it actually takes. So yeah, he was really nice, really friendly, and I really loved talking to him. But anyway, guys, that's not what you're here for. You're here for the review, so let's get into it. Hello everyone, Luke here, and welcome to the Promised Neverland chapter 106, titled, Is There No Way Out? I don't know. Is there a way out? Maybe the kids are all stuck here. Maybe they are going to die. Maybe they won't. But we need to find out if there is a way out. And I really love that title, that chapter, because it just shows just how intense and how claustrophobic this situation actually is, and how much they have to really think in order to get out of this situation. But anyway, let's get into it. So anyway, the chapter starts off again with Andrew. If you remember last chapter, he threw the gas grenade into the underground tunnels where the kids are in order to try and smoke them out. And we see Emma trying to think to herself, being like, "Oh my God, they know our secret passageways. They know the exits. And if we go into their site, they'll kill us. They'll kill us on the spot." And I really love how again how intense the situation is, and how much they have to scramble together in order to get out of the situation. Because Andrew has pretty much established himself as such a merciless killer. He's not going to care about what they say. If he sees them, they are dead right away in that situation. But all is not lost as we see Yuugo trying to get the kids to safety, and he's saying, "Come on, let's get out of here, let's get out of here." And I really love this, how this has really shaped Yuugo's character. He's becoming more of a leader based on his interactions between with Emma and Ray, and how he's sort of like developed into that uncle figure that they can all look up to and they can all trust, which may come into play later on in the chapter about maybe something unsure happening to him and Lucas. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but yeah, that seems like it's going their way. How them two have slowly developed, how they've come into their own and be like the adults that these kids actually need, and they actually need to survive in this world. Not just when the whole system is actually collapsed and everything, but also when they actually need people that they can look up to and they can actually trust and learn from and grow themselves. Anyway, Andrew goes on to say, according to the reports of the team, there are around 60 or more targets, and that he expected something like this, but still that's a lot of them. And he concludes that it must be the kids that escaped from Gracefield and Goldie Pond, and they're all living here at this time. Which again, I love how he's using his initiative and using his intelligence, because he is a very intelligent guy, this Andrew, on that level of like mama intelligence. I'm not saying he's on the level of Lewis, but he's really intelligent, how he's able to observe all these situations and able to process all of them, which again goes back to all his tapping that he's doing, and it very much does remind me of Inspector Lunge from Monster, how he, like I said before, how he uses the tapping of his fingers to like process information. It's the same thing here with Andrew, only he's doing it in a sort of like Morse code type of way, and I really like that about his character. Anyway, he goes on to continue saying that, but it's very strange how they've conducted a perfect surprise attack, and yet they sought to escape relatively fast. And he asks, did they anticipate the attack, before saying, no, it's not just that. They were interested in finding the seven walls, but how can they know who told them? And he estimates that there must be supporters on the outside. And again, I said this in I think it was on the Discord that I mentioned this, how I would really love it if when they do get out and he's obviously chasing them back into the forest, and he actually meets Songju and Musica and realizes like, oh, it was these demons that actually told them, which again might come into play when he actually has to get back to Peter Rafari, and Peter might actually inform Peter of what's going, like, hey, there are these demons that are actually helping out the kids, we've got to go and sort them out as well. And that may lead into a full-scale battle between Songju and the kids, and Andrew and the Ratari clan and the demons on that side. And I'm really looking forward to that, if that's the way that this situation is going to go down. And this whole conversation that Andrew's having, like, again, his thought process again shows that even though he's intelligent, he can be very arrogant, because he's very much someone who's not really seeing these kids as anything but cattle, and he's not preparing himself like, what if they could actually surpass them, because he doesn't believe in that situation, in that circumstance, which just shows that even though he is intelligent, his arrogance can get the better of him. And that's a running theme throughout the Promised Neverland. Like, even though kids and adults alike and demons can be very intelligent, ultimately it's their arrogance that can be a downfall for them. And I feel like that's something that Emma has overcome. Like, she's very intelligent, but she doesn't let her arrogance get in the way of her, and I feel like that's something Ray still needs to improve on as the series goes on, as we continue on through the final arc. He goes on to say to himself that, moreover, those weapons of theirs, they're not the toys our family provided to Bayon, was the shelter supplied with guns. And that, again, like, just showing how he's like really processing everything. But also, I really wanted to talk about that line of our family, which in my opinion proves that he's part of the Ratari clan. Like, his last name is Ratari, Andrew Ratari, and that would make a lot of sense, how he's sort of like so loyal to Peter, and how he really wants to keep the promise from being broken, and he's going to these extreme lengths to make sure that that doesn't happen. He's obviously again, it's just like, it really harkens back to Monster, in a sense. Now we had Johan, who was the main villain, and then we had Roberto, who was the secondary antagonist, and it sort of like has that dynamic here with Peter and Andrew, how Peter is the much more intelligent one, but he's also the one that just sits in the background and is the puppet master behind everything, manipulating it to his liking. It was the same thing with Johan, how he was the puppet master. Even though Johan appears sporadically throughout the story, it showed just how intelligent he is, and how, even though he's a very polite individual, he's really cold and calculating and really creepy as well. And Roberto in that series was basically the brawn who went out and did basically everything that Johan could not do. It's the same thing here. Like, Andrew's basically doing the things that Peter cannot do in terms of his character. Like, Andrew's the one who's actually going out there and being the merciless killer that Peter wants him to be, in order to keep this promise and to keep it from being broken in any sort of way. And I really like that dynamic that's being set up between Peter and Andrew. Pretty much confirming that Andrew is part of the Atari clan, and how he's the brawn, but he's also very intelligent as well. And Peter is way more intelligent, and he's intelligent enough to know, like, okay, I need to stay back, I need to monitor everything. So Andrew, you're the one who's more capable of going out and doing these merciless killings, so you can go and do that. And Peter and Andrew, being fast loyal to Peter, would agree to that. And I really like that dynamic that's been set up between these two characters. He goes on to say that this means there are no rooms on that map, and he sees that the information known to their supporters was incomplete, and thanks to that, the situation isn't playing out as planned. And now don't really know what this actually means. It might be a case of mistranslation, and it may be that he's talking about his plan, or maybe it's talking about the kids, how some information wasn't perceived to them. Maybe it will be, as we go along through the chapter, that's the case. That's something that even the kids' supporters did not know. But I really wanted to talk about this as well, because it's like I've tried to look at this so many times, but I just can't figure out what it's actually meaning. Maybe it's talking about him or the kids. I don't know, and I'm probably sounding incredibly stupid about that. But anyway, that's what we see from Andrew at this point in time. As we move on, we see all the kids. They're all still in tunnels, and they're going, damn it, before we see Ray going, while we're here thinking they'll be closing in and circling around them. And that just shows just how much Ray wants to get out of this situation just as much as anybody. And it's like he's really thinking about this, like, okay, we're in this situation, we really need to think about this, otherwise they're going to circle us and they're going to kill us. And sure, and as we go along, Ray continues to say, at this rate it'll be a complete slaughter. How are we supposed to proceed? What can we do? How can we escape? No, there's only one possible conclusion, and this part here coming up. This is what I've really wanted to see so much throughout this series, way more than Emma going berserk. I've wanted to see something like this where Ray goes, we have to kill them first, and I really like that, because that's something that Ray is capable of doing. Like, he's capable of doing stuff that Emma can't do, in the same way that Andrew is capable of doing stuff that Peter can't do, and he knows that Emma would not agree to this. Like, he knows that Emma won't kill other human beings, but Ray's a lot more different about that. He's a lot more cold and calculating, and if he sees a situation where that needs to happen, he is going to do it. And I really like how he's sort of like coming into that, okay, there needs to be a necessary sacrifice if we need to survive. We may need to kill humans. Because humans are still our enemies, so we may need to kill them in order to escape and survive in this world, as opposed to just killing up straight demons. And I really like that conflicting angle that's going on here. Like, these aren't demons that they're actually considering killing. They're actual human beings with emotions and lives as well, and they're probably doing their need to survive in the same way that they're doing their need to survive as well. But Ray knows that if they want to survive in this world, there's going to have to be some tough choices that are going to have to be made, and Emma will probably have to see that at some point in the future. Ray continues his thoughts by saying it's kill or be killed, really. And again, like I said, this shows just how conflicted he's actually being, but he understands that this needs to be done for the greater good. He's thinking about the greater good and what needs to happen for the safety of their own family. And he continues by saying, if we manage to escape, even if we somehow broke through the exit guards, there's no way we'd manage to go there's no way we managed to do that unnoticed, not with such a large group. If we want to save our comrades, our family, we have to kill them all. And like I said, just showing, even though Ray is showing this really deep, dark side about him, it's a necessary evil, and he knows it's a necessary evil, because as we see as he goes along, no, even worse, if we could pull that off, even if we left them behind, they'd be catching up to us for sure. And we see an image of what would happen if the kids actually did escape and actually just run. They would just get shot at with machine guns. And I feel like Ray at this point doesn't want that to happen anymore. He wants to survive, and he wants everyone to get out alive, but he knows that he probably will have to go through this, and he probably will have to kill, which is just conflicting about him. Like, what would Emma actually think of him if he actually went ahead and actually killed someone? And I feel like Ray is going to actually kill someone in the series. Now that they've brought this up about Ray actually killing someone, I feel like he is going to have to do it at some point. It's going to have to be a human, and it's going to have to happen, and when that happens, he's probably going to have a really serious regret about doing it and probably feel guilty, and Emma's probably going to think of him less at that point. But I feel like she'll understand that he had to do what he had to do, but it's still going to be a damper on their relationship, because she's all about wanting everyone to survive, and she doesn't want to kill. Even though she knows that it's necessary, she doesn't really want to do it, and she doesn't want to see others that she's grown attached to doing it as well. And like I said, it's really going to come into play and really going to contrast with their relationship, and I'm really interested in finding out how the relationship will go from here if Ray actually does go ahead and actually kill someone. As Ray concludes his thoughts, he says that they're human beings and it would be murder, and he doesn't care. Oh, so I guess he doesn't care about killing humans. And which again, it does make sense for Ray's character, how he's been that cold calculus kind of character ever since the start, and he's been like one of those more detached characters and ones that can do the necessarily evil for the greater good. But he also understands that Emma and the others, most of the group, couldn't do such a thing. And again, that's true, they couldn't do that thing that they need, even though they probably will need to do it at some point. They it would take a lot of them for actually to do it. It's sort of like with Trigun, how you had Vash basically being forced to kill someone, to kill another human being, which was Legato, and Legato basically forced him to do that, and it just showed the consequences of what happened when Vash actually did kill Legato. Spoilers for anyone who has not seen Trigun, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to mention that because it just reminds me of this, how such a pure character, what happened when they actually did commit murder, when they swore to never take another human's life, and it just showed the consequences of that decision that happened. Anyway, as we see Yuugo's thoughts, we see him saying, even if we could, we'd have a bad hand to play. And we see him going on to saying that they've got bulletproof armour, possible night vision goggles too, even gas bombs, and with 60-some kids in our group, it's hard to manoeuvre. They've got much more manoeuvrability. And again, I love how they're just stacking up, the authors are just stacking up the odds of how difficult this task is actually going to be in order for them to escape and all get out of this situation unscathed. And it's just showing just how tactful they're actually being, which again, it reminds me so much of the Lewis fight, how this is a different kind of fight, but it's a different in a good way, how they're being just pushed up against the corner, and they're being really condensed into this claustrophobic environment, but yet they're still using the tactics like, okay, what do we have? What can we do to get out of this situation? I'm really loving that about this whole string of chapters, which I feel like is going to end within, not the next chapter, but the chapter after that. We continue hearing the thoughts of people when they say that if we're hit with gas, it's all over. A head-on attack, even if we won, our side would lose people too. That's not an option. There have been many deaths already. We have to escape quick, but escape where and how? And they continue on by saying, one mistake, it's all over. Worst of all, we don't know how many enemies are coming nor from where, before Oliver cuts them off and says, Emma and Ray, and we see that Rossi has made it to them. Yay! Yeah, it's made it to them! I'm actually really glad now that Rossi's here and V can actually explain to them what Lucas has actually sent him to actually give to them. But also going in this situation like that, in such a dynamic and such a pickle, that if they do a head-on attack, then kids are actually going to die. And Emma, of course, as we can see from those panels, that she's very worried about that actually being a possible outcome, and she doesn't want that to happen, so they need to escape, but they don't know where to escape to. Oh, I don't know, maybe the forest could help, where you have allies like Songju and Musica. Maybe they could help you, maybe they could, maybe that's what's going to happen, that they'll escape and get into the forest, and like I said, with Andrew will possibly meet Songju, and he will ravage the group that Peter has sent. Like he'll probably kill Andrew. I think Andrew will probably die if he ever meets Songju. When he meets Songju, I think that's actually going to be a possibility that's going to happen. Like they're going to escape into the forest, they're going to meet Songju again, and Songju's just going to ravage at them, because I don't think the Ratari clan or Andrew or any of these guys, I don't think they're actually farmed humans. So I think Songju will see that as an opportunity, like, okay, I can get into human meat again, and that may actually lead to Emma discovering Songju's true nature, how he wants to eat free-range people. He doesn't want to eat the farm kids or any of the farm people. He wants to eat free-range people. And I feel like when he eats those people, that's actually going to have him be questioned by Emma and be like, what the fuck are you doing, Songju? They're humans as well. They have human beings. But he's going to be like, yeah, but they tried to kill you as well. So I feel like I deserve to actually save your lives. And I feel like I deserve credit for actually saving your lives. So don't question me. And I feel like that's really going to contrast with the relationship that they had when they were actually in the forest, actually escaping to get to the shelter. But anyway, continuing on, so Rossi meets them, and Emma's like, okay, is Lucas okay? And he's like, yeah, he destroyed the monitors and he beat one of the enemies, and he told me to come here. And we see Rossi give Ray the communicator, and then we see him saying, like, I heard it all. On the way here, I kept hearing them sending orders. And then as the chapter continues on, we see a flashback where Rossi is listening into the communicator and seeing Andrew. It's like, it's me, do you all copy? the targets are now retreating eastway away from the emergency exit 1, and that surface team keep guarding exit 2, north corridor, south corridor. You move to the central west side, and all units to surround them at once. And Ray concludes that this means, given the enemy's position right now, that they are in various situations, but there's one area that's not actually being guarded, which they could use to their advantage, which is the north corridor. And this makes Emma and Ray and Oliver like, oh, okay, so this is where we can actually pass through. And Ray actually says, thank you so much, Raj, that you saved the day. And we get to see like more of Ray's gentle side, which again just contrasts to where he was at the beginning of the series. I feel like Ray is one of the more complex characters throughout the series. How he started off really sort of like detached, but he's slowly started to be part of the group. And even when he was the secondary antagonist, I wouldn't call him like an antagonist. He's more of like a pseudo anti-villain. Like he didn't want Emma and Norman and everyone to actually die, but he knew that there was nothing he could do about it until Emma like snapped him into reality. No, there is a possibility that we can actually survive. And he's slowly been developing throughout the series. Like look at this panel here with Ray saying, thank you, Ross, you saved the day, compared to where he was at the beginning of the series, how he's just like stuck in his books, not wanting to interact with anybody at all, and he kind of had to be forced to be interacted with other people. And it's just been a great character arc, how we've seen like slowly warm up, become that big brother all the little ones can look up to, and he's sort of like become like the true sidekick to Emma that she really needs. Because even though Emma is pure and it's very intelligent, she's not as intelligent as Ray, and he can actually do the things that she can't, and they kind of balance each other and make a really good pair and a really good double act. Emma goes on to discuss the situation that the only enemy units ahead of them is in the north corridor. There's only one point where they can intercept them, and all they have to do is pass that corridor before they do, and that's when they'll break the circle. Which, like I said, really great observance on their part. How they're like, okay, if they're going to surround us, then we have a chance to actually just slip past them without them actually noticing us, and we can actually get to that north corridor. And they go on to say that, but why would they choose a formation with such a weak point? And Rossi brings up that Lucas said something that maybe the enemy doesn't know about the weapon room below the dining hall and the secret telephone room, and so that gives them an idea that that's it. That's the situation that they're going to have to now, that they don't know where the weapons room is or the secret telephone room is, and they're going to use that opportunity to actually escape through those rooms. And I really love how they've just brought that up, like, oh, that's one of the areas that can actually go and possibly escape without the enemy actually catching on to them. As Emma questions Rossi where Lucas is right now, Rossi mentions that he's breaking the monitors, and then he said he'd cleared the normal exit after that. And we see Yuugo going, oh, that bastard, and they continue to carry on. Although what Rossi has said here, what particularly how Lucas and Yuugo have been like getting a lot of development throughout the previous chapters here. I feel like their days are numbered. Like, there's really no point for their story to go along. Like, they're the old guard, they've done their part, and there's possibly going to be a sacrifice on their part in order for the new generation to get out there and make a difference in the world. Like something like they tried to do and they couldn't. It's maybe something that Emma and Ray's group will actually have to do at this point, and I feel like that's going to come into play at the end of the chapter. As the kids prepare to move, we see Emma saying that once we make it through the north corridor, we'll be able to exit through the weaponry room and exit through the normal exit. And I really love that, how it's like, okay, the enemy is surrounding us and they're going to be surrounding us from the back, so obviously we've got to go through this exit here, which those panels made it very clear that they're not heading, that the enemy's surrounding them, but they're not heading north to the main exit where they could actually get out. And sure enough, as we see Oliver saying, I'll go on ahead with Paula to help Lucas and then we'll be back, and we see someone saying, yes, please do. We see Ray going, they started searching for paths and they've got to hurry up, which I love this part, how it was getting really intense, and now it's like, oh, are they going to make it, are they not going to make it? And sure enough, we see Yuugo going, thanks Lucas for finding a way out, and we see Lucas's hand get up, grab it, and we see him with like, I think he has the armor on from that guy that he actually dislocated the shoulder or actually snapped the leg. I think he snapped the neck of the guy in the monitor room in the previous chapter, in like chapter 104, I think it was, that when that actually happened. We see him get his sniper rifle and shoot the enemy from behind. Oh, I really love that, like shoot them in the back when the back of the enemy's turned. That's really good and really tactful on Lucas's part. And then we see all the kids make it. Are they gonna make it? Are they gonna make it? They made it out! Yes! Oh my god, that is so happy. And we see like all the image of everyone there, like, we are out! Like, that's just the most triumphant moment of how they've actually beaten Andrew's group, but they're not out of the woods yet. They may be out of the frying pan, but they're certainly not out of the fire. And as we'll get into the end of this chapter, it'll become very clear that that's not what that the first part of this plan is finished, but the worst is probably yet to come at this point, because even though they're outside, they're in wide open space. Like, they could be shot at any point at this moment. They don't know how many enemies are. There could be 20 enemies that are just waiting for them. Like, if the off chance if they actually did get out, that there is a secret like agent just waiting for them. Like, oh, they're there, shoot them dead. So we'll have to wait until the next chapter possibly to find out if that's actually the case. As we see the kids scrabbling around Lucas and Yuugo, we see how happy they are that they've actually guided them out of here. And like I said, that's what I've really loved about Lucas and Yuugo's character. They both come into their own and being like, okay, we are the adults here. We have to protect these kids now because they've been in the situation that we have, and we can't just give up on them, even though Yuugo was prepared to give up on them in the beginning. And I really like how, like I said, how his character has developed. Even though he's not been in the series as long as Emma and Ray have, he's still been a very well developed character, and I've really loved that about him, in the sense that he started off as really just a bastard, but now at this chapter it's like, oh, he's really lovable, he's really like that uncle figure that we can look up to. And we see him saying, okay, now's the time, get the hell out of here. And we see the kids going, what are you talking about, Yuugo? And we see him going on and saying, Lucas and I will catch up with you kids here. Someone has to make sure that the other 6 won't follow you. And that's really that's brave, and that's really smart on their part. Like, okay, they're thinking like, okay, we're out of the shelter, but we need to make sure that they're not going to be followed, so we're going to be a distraction so that you kids can get away and have a chance to actually find a place to make a new home for yourselves, and find a way to actually find the Demon King and make that new promise. And I really like how they've both really stepped up and been like, okay, we're the adults here, we need to stay behind because we can cope better than you kids, and we have to get you kids to safety because you're the only hope that you have at this point of actually making a difference in this world. As the kids protest, like, no, we can't leave you, we'll stay and fight with you, Lucas is like, no, you need to do this. And we see Yuugo and Ray have a look, and Ray thinks back to what he actually said about how even if I do kill these humans, that can be considered murder. And we see Yuugo going on like, there's no need for a child to deal with this thing. Leave this one to the adults. Oh, and also, we're only got the goods for 2 people, you know. And I like that. Like, even though like the kids want to stay and fight, they know that they've only taken out 2 people, so they can actually, the 2 adults are actually gonna be the ones to actually commit the murders. And I really like how they've actually thought about this, how Yuugo has seen, like, Ray was very conflicted, but he was willing to commit murder, but Yuugo actually said, no, you shouldn't have to do that because you are kids, and no kid should have the burden of having murder on their hands for the rest of their lives. And I feel like this again is leading into some sort of sacrificial idea on their part, like they are going to die, and they're gonna die being heroes, and not letting these kids commit out these horrible, horrific things that the demons and these other humans have been doing, because that just makes them just as bad as they are if they actually kill another human being. And I really like how Ray and Yuugo had that moment with each other, and again it's just really something that it's just like boggling my mind, like, are they actually uncle and nephew? Because just the way they talk and interact with each other, it's kind of like an uncle saying to a nephew at this point, no, you can't do this because you're young, you're innocent, you need to get out of here, you need to make a difference in this world. I've done my part, I don't mind staying behind and sacrificing myself in order to help you out. I just get the feeling like that's something that an uncle would actually say to his nephew. Like, he doesn't want his nephew to actually be this cold-blooded killer, but he's going to take that burden for him so that he can actually, even though they may actually die, they can at least die rescuing kids and being the heroes that they possibly always wanted to be in this situation. As we see Emma even protesting about this idea, we see Yuugo saying, "Take a good look, boys and girls. Now we can handle gas and bullets too, now that they've actually got bulletproof armour and the gas mask." So they actually have a shot of actually taking out Andrew's team. Although I feel like Andrew's going to be the last man standing, and he's actually going to follow them at this point. He's going to kill or possibly wound Lucas and Yuugo, and he's going to actually follow the kids. He's going to be like the last man standing. I feel like that's going to be a case of what's going to happen in this situation. But as Emma is protesting, Yuugo goes, "Emma, this is the best choice. Don't worry, we'll be right behind you. Go on ahead and find Christy somewhere safe to rest." And we see a very humbled moment from Yuugo, how he's looking really he's begging Emma at this point, and that really just shows just how much he's like grown. Like, this image right here of Yuugo saying like, "Look, you need to get them to safety. You're the one that can do this." It just shows just how much confidence Yuugo has put in Emma after everything they've been through. And he's the one that's actually begging at this point, as opposed to Emma actually begging him to help them out. He's begging Emma to help the others out at this point. I really love how his character has just developed over these past couple of arcs that he's been in. And he's actually become one of my top 5 favourite characters. And if you're wondering who my favourite characters are, they're Emma, Ray, Norm, Lewis, Isabella, and Yuugo. They're my 5 favourite characters, and I really like. And this panel here cemented my idea that why Yuugo's one of my favourite characters, just how much he's evolved and developed from when he first appeared to where he is actually now. And of course, Emma gives a determined look and says, "Got it," so that she knows, like, okay, this needs to happen. We can't stay here. We're too much of a wide group, and we have an opportunity to actually make a difference. So, okay, we've got it. Stay safe, you all too, and we'll see you later. And we see, and this is my favourite, this moment right here with Yuugo and Emma is my favourite, where they give the fist bump, which shows that how much their relationship has changed in the film, how much trust they actually have with each other compared to where they had 2 years ago when they first actually met. I really love how, like, okay, fist bump, be safe, you got it, you too. But as the kids are leaving, we see good old shelter, how nostalgic. That's it then. Yeah, couldn't have picked a better place to dig my grave. And that's where the chapter ends, with Yuugo and Lucas going back into the shelter. And even though they've promised the kids that they'll be safe, it's sort of like giving the idea that, yes, they've come here to die. They've come here to sacrifice themselves and be the heroes that they need to be. So that's the end of the chapter right there. Once again, really good chapter, really good, solid chapter. Like, even though some of the other chapters leading up to these chapters where they've actually had Andrew doing the attack have been kind of slow and been kind of a bit boring, I will say. I will say that the chapters that have actually had Andrew have been like the most intense and the most fascinating, and it's been very reminiscent of both the Goldie Pond arc and the Gracefield House arc. And I really love Andrew as a villain, and how he's sort of like coming into his own as a villain, and how he has combinations of Isabella and Lewis, in the same way that this arc here has combinations of the Goldie Pond arc and the Gracefield House arc, and everything I loved about these arcs. And I really like this solemn moment that Yuugo and Lucas are basically stay behind to die. Which again, it does make sense for their characters. Like, their story is done, and it's up to the younger generation that they have to continue on and make a difference in this world, as opposed to them who have done all they can at this point. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like and subscribe, comment, all that jazz, and go and subscribe to Mr. Wash, because I really appreciate all that he's done for me. And don't forget to check out my top 10 moments from the Promised Neverland voting poll. It's still up. You can still vote in that, and I really appreciate it if you did vote. And also I really appreciate if you go and check out the the trailer for my short film, The Military, that's coming on. And also, I'll put the link to I Am Dyslexic in the documentary, the documentary in the description below, so that you guys can go and check that out. I really appreciate it if you go and check that out. It was a really well made documentary. I think you'll enjoy it. But anyway, guys, that's it. And this will be Yuugo and Lucas signing off. Later, guys.